So other than the fact that I moved recently, no really big life events have happened to me. I imagine that if they did, I probably would have told you guys already. But looking back on it, I did ultimately move 3 different times in 1.5 years, which was actually kind of significant, I guess, so I'll go through that. And just to make it fun, I'll give my old houses different nicknames. So a year and a half ago, I was living in Old House with my parents. Old House was nice. I liked Old House. Old House is where my parents moved right after I and my sisters moved to college. I spent a few summers there and never really had much of an issue. That's where I really got to know Baltimore for the first time, and I still think of a large portion of Baltimore in context to Old House. But my parents were looking to buy a house, and my dad really liked Old House. He really wanted to buy that one. He thought that you could flip it and fix some of the weird quirks because it was so old. But my mom was not really in for that process. It would have taken a lot of time and probably a lot of money as well. And there were more problems popping up pretty much every day. So we moved out and we moved to Pretty House. Pretty House is unlike most other row houses I've seen in Baltimore, which is why my parents liked it so much. It still had the Baltimore charm of exposed brick and some industrial railing, but it also had a lot of really cool stuff, like the living room had a balcony overlooking the dining room. It had a pretty substantially sized kitchen in what was the basement. The entire house was very open. You could basically look from the very bottom floor up to the very top floor, and the view from the rooftop was amazing. Pretty House was probably my favorite in terms of just pure houseness, but I was looking to move out because I didn't want to live with my parents anymore. And around the time that I was really considering moving out, Caleb and Janet were also considering buying a new house. I was a fan of moving out, I was a fan of Caleb and Janet, so I moved out. I moved in with Caleb, Janet, and Gigi, I think was her name. I didn't really know her that well before, and we didn't really get to know each other well afterwards. Anyways, we all packed up and moved into Dumb House. Now, Dumb House was kind of like the titular Smart House in LeVar Burton's 1999 masterpiece Smart House, but it's kind of the exact opposite of Smart House. Smart House could cook you up a delicious dinner for you and wash all the dishes afterwards. Dumb House, on the other hand, when we first moved in, didn't have a working stovetop or dishwasher, or for that matter, hot water, gas, or heat in general. Not when we first moved in, at least. Caleb and Jana were looking to buy a dumb house for a while. It was a pretty great house, to be honest. And they had to run through a few dumb hoops to get it, and eventually just settled on moving in on a short sale. And to be fair, Dumb House was pretty nice, and it definitely has the potential to be a great house, especially in a few years. It's very large for a Baltimore row house, and it was very affordable for how large it was. But it was very much a fixer-upper, and I knew that going in, so what happened to make it so dumb? You may think that Dumb House was just a little too dumb for us, so we moved out, but that's not nearly the end of the story of Dumb House. The story of Dumb House ends in a much more dumb way. A few months into our living there, the owners stopped paying their bills, so the house went into foreclosure. The house went to the bank, and so Caleb and Janet tried to buy it from the bank, and they were asking for a little bit more than the owners were originally asking for, but it was still reasonable. Caleb and Janet offered to buy it with the price that they had asked for, but then the bank was like, no, that's not enough money for us anymore. So we were forced to quickly move out of Dumb House because Dumb House was dumb. To be fair again though, it would have really been a great house. It just has a lot of baggage tied to itself in my memory. And then we moved into our current house, Felix. And I really don't have any problems with Felix. Except, do you see this? This is my shower. And this is the window that my shower looks out on. And this doesn't go outside. This goes to a little area that can be accessed from the other bathroom. Why?